is our group, and we're going to be talking about rocket science and how rockets work and some other stuff. So our first up is Sam, and she's going to talk about what a rocket is. Okay, now we'll begin.
Years ago, people could not travel to the moon because no machine could generate enough force to overcome Earth's gravity to reach space. About 100 years ago, a Russian high school teacher named
Konstantin Kavitsky
Kavitsky said that the machine called a rocket would be able to carry people to outer space. A rocket is a machine that uses escaping gas to move, and rockets will become the key to leaving Earth and starting age of space exploration.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm going to tell you who suggested using rocket fuel to make our rocket ships go further in space. And how rockets Tesla Levitsky suggested on using liquid rocket fuel in our rocket ships to make them go further into space, and rockets move by using thrust go off the launch.
Go. Okay. Well, my character is Robert Goddard, and Constantine, blah blah. He made the rocket fuel and stuff, but I was the one who made the rockets. And
I feel like you're getting too close.
I built my first rocket in 1926, and it brought the military's attention in by the World War II, and I was an American physicist and an inventor, and well, that was my character, and that's all I chose.
Okay, now I'm going to tell about the birth of NASA. By the end of World War II, it marked the beginning of the Cold War, a long period of political tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cold War was marked by an armed race and by competition in space technology. In response, the Soviet advances in space, the U.S. government formed the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. In the United States, their corporation led to the development of many rockets, including
Orbital velocity and escape velocity. That's my other chapter that I'm doing. So, for a rocket to orbit each, it must have enough thrust to each orbital velocity. Orbital velocity is the speed and direction a rocket must travel in the order to orbit to orbit a planet. The lowest possible speed a rocket may go and still orbit the Earth is about kilometers, 17,926 miles per hour. If the rocket goes any slower, it will fall back to Earth. For a rocket to travel beyond Earth orbit, rocket must achieve escape velocity. Escape velocity is speed and direction the rocket must travel to completely break away from the planet's gravitational pull. The speed a rocket must reach to escape the Earth is about 11 kilometers, 24,606 miles per hour. And that's all I have to say.
Put the paper down.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm talking about how rockets move, and who suggested using liquid rocket fuel in our rockets to make them go further. The person who suggested using liquid rocket fuel in all his rockets was Konstantin Kavitsky. And the way rockets move to make them go further in space. And the way rockets move is using thrust, which is like a type of motion that Newton created. And they use that off the launch pad, and they shoot straight up there and into space, and then orbit some planet, and then. Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm going to tell you who suggested using liquid rocket fuel in our rockets to make them go outer space further. And I'm also going to tell you how rockets go to outer space. The way rockets go outer space is they use thrust, which is a type of motion Newton created, to go outer space. Off the launch, they use thrust to go off the launch pad in outer space. And Konstantin Teslavsky suggested using liquid rocket fuel to make our rockets go further into outer space. And that's it.
How to leave the Earth, that's how you leave the Earth, by the gravitational pull of Earth is the main factor of the rocket must overcome. A rocket must reach a certain velocity or speed and direction to orbit to escape the Earth. Like it has to go in a certain direction, and like what I just said. The orbital velocity and escape velocity. Those are two different things. And for a rocket to orbit the Earth, it must travel enough thrust to each orbital velocity. Orbital velocity is the speed and direction of a rocket that must travel in order to orbit a planet or moon. The lowest possible speed for a rocket may go and still orbit the Earth is about 8 kilometers and 17,967 miles per hour. If the rocket goes any slower, it will fall back to Earth and it will get bad. For a rocket to travel beyond the Earth orbit, the rocket must achieve escape velocity. From rocket bombs to rocket ships is like what the Germans copied from Robert Goddard's invention, like the rocket. So they made a big bomb called the V2 rocket, and it could deliver an explosive from the German military bases to London. So that's how far it could go, and a distance about 350 kilometers. The V2 rocket was developed by a team led by Werner von Braun, a young student whose research was supported by the German military. But in 1945, near the end of the war, von Braun and his entire research team surrendered to an advancing Americans. The United States thus gained 127 of the best German rocket scientists. With the rocket research in the United States boomed in the 1950s.
People carry hundreds and thousands of gallons of liquid oxygen. The oxygen is needed to run the shuttle's rocket fuels.